Good evening and welcome to 6 News. I'm Stephanie Bryant. 7 people were killed, more than 40 injured after attackers used a van to crash into pedestrians in London Saturday night. The assault began when a van veered off the road and barreled into pedestrians on London Bridge. Witnesses say 3 men fled the van with large knives and attacked people at bars and restaurants nearby. Those men were shot and killed by police on the scene. Metro Police have publicly identified 2 of them, and they say the investigation was challenging because there are many subjects of interest.
I would just remind people that we do have literally thousands, in fact tens of thousands of people who we would regard as subjects of interest, and actually when we have fantastically powerful intelligence operations, we will know something about a lot of people.
In a moment of solidarity, the lights of the Eiffel Tower in Paris went dark Monday in honor of the victims of the London attacks. Meanwhile, some London-born Lawrence residents offer up their thoughts on the recent attacks. 6 News' Rose Claire spoke with them and joins us live in the studio with their story. Rose.
Stephanie, both the residents I spoke to from England have lived in the States now for decades, but naturally they've been affected by recent events. And meanwhile, a KU political science professor provides some insight to what happened.
I'm always shocked by all these tragedies, and when it's from a place that I know well, it feels closer to home, even though I'm 4,000 miles away.
London-born Lawrence resident Stephen, who prefers we just use his first name, only recently received his American citizenship, though he's lived in the States now for 40 years, meaning he could vote here for the first time, right in time for the presidential elections.
It was interesting. I went to everything from the caucus to the primary to the main election.
His candidate of choice lost, and he's unhappy with the chosen president's decisions in light of the recent London and Manchester attacks.
I think some of the stuff that's coming out of Washington is absolutely ridiculous.
His brother-in-law from Egypt is Muslim, and Stephen disagrees with President Trump's latest plan for a travel ban.
The Muslim ban is a tragedy also. It's going to do nothing to help us.
Stephen's neighbor, Robin Davis, also London-grown, was shaken by the latest terror attacks as well. But he, too, is skeptical of the ban.
There's obviously no easy answer to it. It seems impossible to control it by immigration being very careful in admitting immigrants.
And KU political science professor Robert Rorschneider says that's because terrorists don't necessarily immigrate from other countries, like in the Manchester attacks.
These were British citizens, after all. Many of them are homegrown terrorists. Not all of them, they have a foreign connection.
And though London-born Lawrence resident Stephen is saddened by recent events, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for the way his country handled the incident.
Reading just now about an off-duty policeman who just went for the guys who were stabbing in the Borough Market and took them on and tackled them to the ground.
And though Stephen, the London-born Lawrence resident, was upset about the recent attacks in both London and Manchester, he says he's especially relieved that no one he knows was hurt during that Manchester bombing, as his close friend from college had relatives who attended the concert of that bombing. For 6 News, I'm Rose Claire. Back to you, Stephanie.
So sad. Thank you, Rose. The professor telling 6 News that his colleague at the University of Oxford says the British population has reacted negatively to President Donald Trump after he appeared to have taken their prime minister's words regarding the attack out of context.